baby formula. This is a story obviously we've been keeping a lot of eyes on. Praised President Biden for invoking the Defense Production Act. But the timeline that's coming out of the administration right now, I'm not saying they didn't end up doing the right thing, is really shocking. I mean, it just is a complete indictment of the Biden administration. President Biden admitted on camera that he knew about the baby formula crisis back in April and did not really do anything about it until public pressure erupted in the month of May. Here he is talking a couple of days ago.
Here's the deal. I became aware of this problem sometime after April, in early April, about how intense it was. And so we did everything in our power from that point on, and that's all I can tell you right now. And we're going to continue to do it till we get the job done.
Early April.
Early April. I mean, that's a long time. So why didn't you do anything about it? Did you order anything to do anything about it? And we actually know the answer. The answer is no, because the White House has said, well, first the White House, Brian Deese said, we've known about this since February. Okay, well, why didn't you do anything about it?
Right.
Then Biden says, well, I found out about it in April. Okay, well, why didn't you do anything about it? And they say, well, we did do something about it. We invoked the Defense Production Act. Yeah, in May. So a month later, after you find out about it. And let's be honest, it only happened because they passed the Ukraine bill and people were like, hey, we got $44 billion to send to Ukraine, but we don't have baby formula to send to kids. And then Congress enacted, people like us were talking about it. It's not just us. I mean, it was a huge thing for the entire country was just horrified at the idea of tiny little infants not being able to have their food. But here's the thing. When you continue to look at all of the administration officials, this is a massive failure of government. You have not only the president is at the top. Like, he's not even supposed to necessarily know about this stuff. His staff is supposed to bring it to his attention. And more importantly, he's supposed to order his staff to do something. Well, Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo is on TV over the weekend. She admits the same thing. I've known about it since April. But honestly, the response we're about to play for you is worse because she just says, I didn't just know about it till April. I'm not involved in anything regarding it right now. Let's take a listen.
President Biden this week said he didn't learn about the severity of the infant formula shortage until April, but problems first emerged back at the Abbott plant back in October of 2021. An industry executive said they knew how bad this could get when the plant closed in February. You're the Secretary of Commerce. When did you first learn of this problem?
I first learned about it, a couple of months ago. So this is April? This is a difficult issue, but yes, probably April. I'm not involved in the administration's response here, I should say, but I think they're doing a very good job.
Well, what? Why are you not involved with that? Because actually the Commerce Committee in Congress and the Commerce Department has an immense amount of power over the baby formula. This is just, again, perfect example. You have here the secretary who says, yeah, I found out about it, but, whatever. I didn't really have anything to do with it. Well, wait, why don't you have anything to do with it? Because the Commerce Department has a lot of regulatory authority over the actual baby formula. And then also, why are you not involved in a whole of government approach with the FDA and the CDC in order to get this plant spinning again? I mean, this really was just a complete crisis of government because it just showed us that things have to get so bad that little kids are starving and parents are driving 8 to 9 hours, different stores.
Trying to import European baby formula.
Illegally until the government makes it okay. Also, again, why are you not involved in the administration's response? People don't realize this. The Commerce Department has immense power over international trade. Tariffs, all that stuff, that's under congressional jurisdiction of the Commerce Department. So she's telling us she has no authority over importing European baby formula. That's BS. I mean, maybe the military's moving it, but you should be heavily involved. Also in the future, now that American parents are getting European baby formula, let's make it permanent.
Yeah.
Let the look, this is the first time we'll be like, let Americans compete because from what I can tell, European baby formula is way better than ours.
Well, and also just to give you a little peek behind the curtain here in Washington, D.C., this is a person who, the powers that be in this town are very hot on.
Oh, yeah,
very high on her. They
Right.
love her. They think of her for higher office in the future, even sometimes being floated for president. It's crazy to me. So the fact that, she's completely absent from duty here, that, and not doing a good job at her actual job, that has no bearing on whether or not she'll be elevated to the next highest level. Mm-hmm. She's already in a position of great power here. This also really gets to a core failing of the Biden administration that I'm not particularly surprised by, but I think a lot of people are. One of the promises of his campaign was the grown-ups will be back in charge, that it won't be the chaos of the Trump years. We'll have people who know what they're doing back in power, run an efficient administration. And so, listen, you may not want everything that we're going to do. You may not be on board. You may want more. You may want less. But at least it's going to be competently managed. That has turned out to be completely false. And by the way, some of the reporting that now that the wheels have come off this administration so clearly and his approval rating is down, at Trump or below Trump in certain instances. Young people are discussing with this administration. There's starting to be all these leaks and all these insider reports about like what's going wrong and what Biden thinks about it. And one of the things that he complained about was that he hadn't been notified by his staff about the baby formula crisis sooner when it came to their attention in February, or, could have even been before that, because you did, as Jake Tapper points out there, you did have this whistleblower early on talking about the lack of safety standards and potential problems at this Abbott Laboratories plant. So you have an initial failure, which still has to be on the president. He's the one that assembled this group of staffers around himself. But so you have this initial failure of staff to notify the president at all or do anything about it. And then even once he is notified in early April, it takes this massive public outcry and, the news the media finally writing stories about these babies who are in dire trouble and in some terrible instances even having to be admitted to the hospital to get the nutrition that they need, and moms who are desperate and at their wits' end doing everything they can, spending all day going from store to store to try to find the formula that's going to work for their babies. It took all of that before they finally said, we could actually do something about this. And it's a bigger problem for the administration because the critique of them that they are just purely sort of reactive, that they are always behind the times, that they are catching up a few months later to things that have been hurting the American people for months. I just think that that's completely indisputable.
Yes.
And I think it goes very much against the core hope that a lot of people had for this administration.
Oh, absolutely, Krystal. I mean, look, this was their basic promise, is we will get those vaccines out, easily. That's why I thought I just did not anticipate how incompetent these idiots are.
Yeah.
It's mystifying. I mean, even on gas right now. I mean, look, I've been watching it. We are very, very close to $5 national average. The gas price went up 5% in just the last week. It only needs to go up by 2, and we're at 5 nationally. Yeah. Nobody apparently in the White House seems to be talking about that. Yeah, oh, cool. You're allowing Venezuela to export to Europe. Big deal. That is not going to replace the lost gas stock, especially given the current demand. Nothing's happening. And there's real consequences. Let's put this up there on the screen. Abbott, a couple of days ago, Abbott Nutrition just restarted the baby formula production. But, everybody knows this. From production to actually going to the shelf, it takes a long time. And it's not a joke. I have been reading some horrific stories. There's one in the New York Times that just came out yesterday about how many newborns who spend time in the NICU, they need specialized formula. Because this is the thing.
In particular,
it's not just replacement level. It might be for some, for some babies. Some of these people who have allergies and whose babies are in the, can you imagine having like a 6-month-old premium or a preemie baby in the NICU, and they're like, you need this baby formula to keep your baby alive, and you can't get it anymore.
Panic.
People are freaking out.
Horrible.
They're driving hundreds of miles to go get this stuff.
Well, the thing I worry about too is, we're in a new era now, and I wonder if the baby formula crisis is just the beginning of many.
It is.
I mean, it's not even the beginning. We've already had crises. They just haven't been in the sole source of nutrition for the most vulnerable population in the entire country. But I really think that we are in a kind of new normal here with the global realignments that are happening, with the way that the climate crisis is making food stocks and farming much more precarious, the sort of follow-on effects that we have from that, the follow-on effects that we have from this war, which is not ending anytime soon. And so when you see the government so behind the curve and so unable to respond in anything approaching a timely or urgent fashion, and still trying to sort of pass the buck in terms of, their own blame in not getting on top of this, I think this is going to be a cycle that we see replay itself over and over again, not just with this administration, but with whatever comes next as well.
Let's see how they can blame Putin for it.
Yeah,
Putin's
exactly.
baby formula shortage.
The Putin price hike is responsible for the baby formula.
The Putin-Ukraine price hike on baby formula. Tell that to people who are parents of preemies.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.